Logic, popular rapper from Maryland, has a new album out and it's called Everybody. Okay, so Logic, in my opinion, I think he's really good at what he does. I think he makes some very enjoyable, likable music. You know, his last album, The Incredible True Story, I enjoyed it quite a bit. I thought it was fun, but I don't really think he's all that original. I don't really think he's all that boundary pushing. His Bobby Tarantino mixtape was super unimpressive to me. Overall, I don't really think he's, like, incredible, but I think he makes some enjoyable, likable music. You know, he has a lot of stans that fucking love the guy. I think he's the best rapper in the game. I wouldn't even consider him to be in the top 10 rappers in the game right now, in my opinion. One thing I cannot deny I do like a lot about Logic is that without him, we would not have Silver in the Queue, and then he's wonderful. Better than fucking Logic. I do really enjoy what Logic does. I do like his music for the most part. He obviously can be a little bit corny at times, but I can look past it because, again, his rapping skill is undeniably impressive in my opinion, and he's a really great ear for beats too. I do slander him all the fucking time on Instagram and shit, and Twitter too, but still, I do enjoy his stuff. It's only because, you know, the stans, they just get really pissed off, and it's just funny. There's one time in college, right, I actually witnessed a Logic stan and a J. Cole stan argue over who was better, and it was just the funniest thing. Just from my perspective, it was just a hilarious thing to behold. But anyway, this new album, Everybody, I was eager to hear what he was, you know, the angle he was going to take with this one, because I did like his last album. I thought it was fun, you know, it had that whole sci-fi story edge that was pretty entertaining in my opinion. It was a bit, I guess, corny at times, a bit unnecessary, I suppose, because the songs didn't really link in with the story at all. It was just like this little story being told through skits, but I still thought it was pretty fun. Regardless, Under Pressure, I don't really like at all, honestly. But regardless, again, I was just intrigued to see what he was going to do with this new one, Everybody. And honestly, I'm really conflicted about what I think of this new one, man. Because first and foremost, I have nothing but immense respect for the messages, for the lyrical ambition, the sonic, and the overall just ambition on display with this album is nothing but commendable, really. I really think the overall themes and topics and subject matters and messages that Logic is trying to convey to the listener throughout this entire project is all very admirable and pretty brilliant, in my opinion, that he's using this platform like this. A lot of his fans are very young. Like, my younger brother was a really huge fan of his last project. So, you know, I've been to a live show of his before. He has a lot of younger listeners. So I think it's really good that he's coming through with an album like this that has a lot of very important messages that I think a lot of his fans could take away and gain something from. However, though, despite the importance of these messages and how much I do agree with them and how much I do admire what he's done here, me personally, I have pretty much no desire to listen to this album again. It is just a little bit too much of a chore to sit through for me. I think the very weighty and heavy-handed messages that he is conveying on this thing and just relaying onto the listener, they're very important, they're very personal sometimes, and it comes to a point where I think it takes away a little bit from this album's enjoyment. I found myself nodding in agreement to what he's saying more than I found myself nodding to the songs themselves. Like, every time I found myself having a good time with this album, like anytime where I was like, okay, I'm enjoying this is cool, pretty quickly Logic would just snap me out of that fun and then just talk about some real shit. I'd be like listening in and he would start talking about how, you know, how he struggled with being biracial or some shit, you know, like he talks about that so much on this album. Like, he's touched on the whole biracial thing on his previous work, but on this, it's like every other track is just like, oh man, I'm biracial. It's like, for real, this guy really enjoys talking about his biracial struggle. I get how important the message surrounding it is, and I get that it's very relevant to the theme of this thing, but I'm just saying, there came a point quite a few times where I was like, okay, we get it, you're biracial, you know what I mean? It's got to the point where I feel like a conversation with Logic, or like an interview with Logic, it would go something like this. So Logic, man, how's it going? Dude, really good to be speaking to you right now, man.
Yeah. It's good. Yeah, I'm biracial, man. Yeah, I'm biracial.
Good stuff, man. Good stuff. Cool. So yeah, Everybody is out now. Your new album. We've been working on it for so long. Yeah, how does it feel to finally have this new body of work out to the world?
I'm biracial. You know, I'm half black, half white.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah, I mean, sure. Right. Yeah, I mean, obviously, I'm sure it feels pretty good to have the album out, you know. I'm sure just by default it just feels good, right? Anyway, let's go into more depth about this new album. There's a track on there I was really curious about, the song Ink Blot.
Right.
This track sort of details lyrically, you seem to be talking about like a rapper who's sort of rapping with this fake facade, this fake persona,
Sure,
this fake image, right? What was the inspiration behind rapping from that perspective?
Good question. Yeah, I'm just biracial, you know. Like I'm biracial. I'm half black, half white. I got a white mom and a black dad, you know. So that means I'm biracial, you know. So yeah.
Okay, look, dude, you said that already, like twice. Okay, I get it. Okay, you're biracial, cool. All right, but can we just stay on topic with this new album? You know, I get it. You're biracial. That's cool and shit. But like, can we just focus on talking strictly about the music for a
Is
second?
there a problem with me being biracial?
No,
Hey,
no,
man, I'm
not
proud.
at all.
I am proud to be half black and half white. I am proud to be who I am, dude. I've been dealing with so much slander all my life, dude. I've been
got it
seeing
all wrong, man.
both angles of the racism, the black's perspective and the white's perspective. People call me this, call me that all my life, man. I'm proud to be me. I don't need you just putting no respect on my name, dude. Like I am very happy to be who I am.
Dude, for real, you got it all wrong. That's not what I'm just saying. Just we're talking about something completely different
No,
here.
dude, look, no, you know what? No, interview's done. Interview's over. I'm done.
No, where you going, man? Oh, come back,
But-
dude. No.
Racial.
I'm just fucking joking. I'm just exaggerating. But regardless, I think he could have diversified the subject matter a little bit on this thing, honestly, in my opinion. There is a pretty cool, I guess, sort of story going on throughout the project involving Neil deGrasse Tyson, who plays God on this album. I found that to be pretty entertaining. I kind of wish that had more of a significant, you know, relevance in the context of the album. It only pops up very rarely, but I thought it was quite entertaining. I think the biggest clash of ideas and sounds comes on the track 1-800, I forget the rest of the fucking title, but it's the suicide helpline track, you know? This track is all about suicide, you know, it's essentially the theme of this thing. And if this track ends up like saving some lives, or like a Logic fan listens to it and is like, this really inspired me, this helped me, then that is brilliant. But for me personally, just on a musical level, this track is in no way appealing to me. The features from Alicia Cara and Khaled just didn't really appeal to me that much. Logic's singing a lot on this track. He's pretty much entirely singing. And his voice is fine, but I don't know, man. I really prefer him as a rapper, personally. I do like it when he sings, but only in like small doses. Like on The Incredible True Story, just every now and then for a little like line or two, he'll just like do like a little melody or sing for a bit. And it would sound nice in with his raps, but when he does like a whole song where he's just full on singing, doesn't really do it for me. There were a few tracks that I thought were just totally disappointing too because of the features. The song America was a huge letdown for me because the feature list on this track is ridiculous, having Chuck D from Public Enemy and fucking Black Thought. Black Thought, one of the greatest rappers, one of the greatest wordsmiths to ever touch a mic. His verse was like 8 bars long, and he was just talking about the same sort of political shit that everyone else on the track was talking about. He didn't really stand out that much to me. But the overall track just wasn't really as exciting as I was hoping it would be, and the track Confess with Killer Mike. Killer Mike doesn't rap at all on this track. It was really disappointing to see he didn't have a single verse afterwards. Instead, he just has like a little spoken word thing on the outro, and what he was saying was some really real shit. He was talking about something that I myself think about quite a bit. I'm not religious myself personally, but I do think sometimes that religious people, when like some really terrible shit happens, like how do they, you know, deal with their beliefs in God and stuff like that? And I thought Killer Mike handled it in a way that really got me thinking quite a lot. Like, yeah, that's a really interesting perspective. A lot of the lyrical themes to me come off very relatable, evocative, and interesting, but I just think they are too oppressive. I find this album, I just find it to be kind of beating me over the head a little bit with all these themes and these messages, and it's very strong and heavy-handed, and they're important and they're engaging, but when I go to re-listen to these songs, I can't really just enjoy it as music because I'm just getting slaughtered by all these, you know, very important, strong messages and opinions, and it just kind of makes it a little bit of a chore to listen to. The whole album is very dense, it's very grand and ambitious and epic in scale, and a lot of these songs, they just don't really appeal to me that much. The two most appealing tracks to me sonically were Take It Back and Killing Spree. Take It Back, by the way, fucking pissed me off because it was fucking flames, dude, for like the first 2 minutes, man. I love that instrumental so much, and his flow was impeccable. But the last 4 fucking minutes of the track is this really huge outro where Logic details his like fucking life story, his whole life story, just talking about his come up and where he used to be and where he's gotten, you know, where he's come from and where he is now, etc. And it's cool. I appreciate it and stuff, but I'm never going to want to listen to this again. You know, I mean, it was kind of corny the way he would sort of tell the story, but then he would also kind of like chop up his words and shit so that it kind of fits in with the beat every now and then. Like the hook would just kind of randomly come back every now and then. It was just like it was really annoying. And it's just, this is not how a concept album works. Okay, you don't just tell it to us, you know. You gotta make the music and have it like all intertwined and shit. Like, yeah, it was just really annoying. Like, I wish the song portion of the track went on for a little longer. Then I wouldn't really mind it as much. But the fact that like the whole song is just dominated by this just huge outro really fucking annoyed me. And the track Killing Spree, this track as well as the song Ink Blot, in my opinion, are the only two songs on the album that I can really enjoy and appreciate outside of the album's context. With every other track, I kind of need to hear it in context with the album to really appreciate it, you know? Tracks like Mos Definitely and the title track Everybody, you could argue that these tracks could also be enjoyed outside of the album's context, but they just don't really appeal to me that much. Like, the verses on Everybody I think are really good, but that chorus is unbelievably cringy in my opinion, and the song Most Definitely, the beat is really clunky to me, and some of the refrains are just kind of corny as well. At times, the album can come off a little bit preachy. The song Anziety, I thought was a pretty solid and important depiction of anxiety and how it can, you know, affect you. I thought that was really, really interesting and well told. I thought the way it was handled was pretty interesting and pretty impressive to me. I do think, again, the outro could have been shortened a little bit. It's a very lengthy outro, but I guess, again, the message is important. The final track was 12 minutes. Did not need to be 12 minutes. He repeats the same long as fuck chorus so many times to the point where it's like, okay, you could have trimmed this down quite a bit. But the way the album actually ends does have me kind of intrigued, and it was very interesting. I didn't really expect it at all. There is a part during the outro where one of the characters from his last album, Incredible True Story, I think it's Thomas, he sort of makes a reference to Logic's next album after this one, the fourth one, how it's going to be his last album. Apparently that's going to be his final album ever, according to what he says on this final track, but I guess we'll just have to wait and see. The opening track, again, that's the track where I really like the verses a lot, but the chorus, the I'm the hallelujah, it wasn't really doing it for me, but still, overall, I like it, but it just hasn't really got the replay value for me personally. I think it's a little bit too bloated, a little bit too oppressive with its messages, to the point where it's really hard to sort of enjoy it as music. I think an album like To Pimp a Butterfly is a good example of an album that has really important and strong messages, but you can also really enjoy it on a on a compositional and sonically pleasing musical level, as well as appreciating what it is he's saying. I think Everybody, it just kind of favors the messages more than the actual music. In my opinion, that kind of makes it kind of hard to really enjoy. But I do, again, really respect what he's doing, and pretty much all of his messages he's conveying to the listener I agree with, and I 100% support, and I really hope that his fans, his diehard fans and stans and stuff, I really hope that they listen to it and enjoy it and take something away from what it is he's saying. But for me personally, just on a musical level, it wasn't really grabbing me as much as I was hoping it would, and I just don't really see myself coming back to it that much. I'm going to go with a 6. I think it's decent. Personally, I enjoyed his last album a little bit more because it was a little bit more just focused on just having good beats, good bars, Logic's flow all over this thing. His rapping skill is fine, but I think I enjoyed his last project more just because it was more focused on just having fun, even if it was a little bit unoriginal at times. Everybody, I just don't really see myself returning to it that much. It's a good album, though. It's not bad. I think it is worth listening to at least once, but I think it could have been trimmed down. I think the messages are a little bit oppressive. And yeah, those are my thoughts on this new Logic album. Bye.